Okay. Okay, today is January 10th, and I'll go ahead and call the DITF Diversity Inclusion Task Force meeting to order. I'll pass it over to you, Lee, for a roll call.
Thank you. Councilmember Ryan.
Here.
Councilmember Nick Farr is absent. Councilmember Wellner is absent. Vice Mayor and Chair Thier is absent, but expected, and Mayor Fredericks.
Here.
And the at-large members, Karen Carrera is here, thank you. Annette Harris. Here. Ruben Kalra.
Here.
Nushin Latour. Here. And Tina Shaw-Paikide.
Here. Okay, so the public comment we'd like to defer until later in the meeting, and we'd like to begin with the presentation by Chief of Police Gene.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight, I'm going to introduce to you Captain Jared Yee. And I'm going to let him introduce himself, tell him a little bit about what he does, what he's been doing, and what we're working on. And then we have a citizen advisory panel member that's here to introduce himself also. Jared.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jared Yee. I believe I've met mostly everyone in this room. It's nice to see some of the faces again. And this is Mike Abrams, a member of our Chiefs Advisory Panel that's here. And I am very happy to be here. This is my 5th month, and definitely learning the Tiburon way. I've enjoyed working very closely with Chief Gene and assisting in any way that I can with field operations and support services. And it's been a very welcoming experience here, and I'm happy to be here.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Do you want Michael to go to the meeting? Yeah. And go ahead and introduce him. And Mike.
Right here?
Yeah.
Feel like a congressional committee. I didn't do it. Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Mike Abrams. I've lived in Tiburon for about 30 years. I've had 3 kids go through the school system and beyond. But this is my first time starting in October that I've been involved, besides getting tickets, with the police department. And it's been a great experience. But what I wanted to talk to you about today was my experience in November on a ride-along with Sergeant Gomez of the Tiburon Police Department. And, you know, although I've lived here a long time and driven down Tiburon Boulevard, you know, countless times, being in a police car and doing it at night was an altogether different experience. You know, nothing that night was particularly dramatic. We had like 4, what I would say, incidences, a traffic violation, some teenage pranks that brought back some old memories, and a couple other, you know, flat tire and so on. I'll just talk about the traffic violation because that was probably the most interesting. It kind of taught me a lot. And one of the things, whether, you know, you're a banker or a restaurateur or, you know, work in a store, you always, your clients or your customers, you see them, they're in front of you. You have some idea what to expect, even if they're big or small or old or young. When we pulled over this gentleman who turned out to be a very nice guy who just goofed, but we had no idea. We didn't know. It was at night. We didn't know if he was a man or a woman, a big guy, a small guy, or whatever. And we didn't know how he was going to respond because you never really know. It's really, I realized for the first time, it's a very challenging situation. And you can see, you know, an awful lot of videos if you're so inclined about when things go wrong because through these video cams. You don't know whether the guy's unhappy. Well, he's never going to be happy, but how unhappy or agitated he is. And it was an interesting experience. It was an interesting experience also in the way that the Sergeant Gomez and no doubt other members of the department relate to somebody in that situation. explaining to him what went on and de-escalating the situation. It wasn't like, you were going 50 in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. It was, much more low key. And I have to say that, I was pretty impressed. And kind of I left, we cruised around for about 5 hours. And, he met with, there was a young man who was having depression issues, and he and another officer talked to them and talked to the parents of the young teenager who had gotten a little carried away. But it was an interesting experience. And I think it's really hard to appreciate what these officers go through in a vehicle stop. And as I was telling, I didn't mention this last night, and it was long enough ago that I didn't worry me. But prior to living in Manhattan Beach, we had lived in Manhattan Beach in Southern California. And it was, it was a nice community. And there was a young guy, high school kid, who went along with I think it was his uncle on a ride along. And they pulled over a guy for speeding in front of the mall, and the guy just killed him. I mean, it took long, I think it was about a year before they caught him. So it kind of gives you a new appreciation. Questions? I'm not sure what the etiquette is here, but if there's any questions or.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, sure.
So, actually, I had a question. So I have never seen what a ride-along looks like. Do you sit in the back or the front or?
No, I sat in, they didn't give me a gun. They didn't,
He did ask.
But I mean, the whole, I got a whole tour of the police department, which was kind of neat. But yeah, I sat in the front, and once Sergeant Gomez had, met the guy, he invited me up, and I ended up, meeting with the parents of the teenager. And I didn't introduce myself to the guy who got a ticket, but I was there. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure they would welcome you.
Michael wanted to share his experience during the ride along. And as I've spoke to each and every one of you, I really encourage you to do a ride along. All you have to do is contact me, Captain Yee, and we'll arrange it for you anytime.
It'll give you a different view of Tiburon. Yeah,
that's true too.
I'm familiar with that community, Hermosa Beach.
Oh, sure.
Manhattan
Yeah.
Beach. Very similar to Tiburon in terms of the residents and the community. How would and I know you can't project and know for sure, but how would that have been for you had the individual been of a different race, of a different background, speeding? You mentioned the first episode. How might that have been for you? Have you thought about what
he was.
Oh, he was.
Yeah. I mean, we had, there's those, well, this more than I do. They have these RISPA forms.
RIPA.
RISPA's, I guess, houses. But any RIPA. And he was, he was South Asian, I think. He's dark skin.
Did that intimidate you at all when you first went on the stop? Did that concern you? You were with an officer.
Yeah.
Thank God, but.
No. What are they going to do?
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. No, I didn't feel. He was actually an Uber driver with another South Asian passenger in the back. So I suppose they could have jumped me, but I kind of doubt it. Yeah.
Did you have your dukes up when you said they could have jumped you?
I'm pretty slow. I can't rely on that.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Hey, Chief, can I ask one quick question though? Like, do you You don't have to stick around. If you want to stay, you can, but I just appreciate it. Okay. Do you instruct your officers as to how to bring people along on ride-alongs? Because I can imagine if you are being pulled over and some, no offense, random Yahoo comes up with the police officer, you're like, yeah, because I'll say, because I went on a ride-along and we went to a medical call and the person was outside of his house and injured, but then he said his wife was also inside injured. So we went in and the fire department ended up showing up and they identified me right away. And they're like, what are you doing here? You know? And so do you instruct your officers as to how to make sure that that person is incorporated in a non-invasive way? Or, I mean, I thought the officer with me was great, but I just didn't know if it was a uniform department policy or if.
Yeah, they're instructed to have the ride-along participants stay in the vehicle. When the situation's code 4, they'll usually talk to the person on the traffic stop or the person for the call for service to see if it's okay to bring the person in to say, this is what's going on. Usually they'll introduce them, say why they're on a ride-along and just introduce them. But yeah, we make sure it's safe and secure before they enter any scene.
I also had a sign, something saying, I follow all the rules. Right.
Thank you. Is that the conclusion of your presentation?
Yeah, if anybody has any other questions, but if not, I just wanted to introduce Michael and yeah.
Right. Any other questions? Okay. So we'll move on to the next order of business, which is, I think, 2 events that have been proposed for budgeting in 2024. The first one is the Asian Dragon Boat Festival. Is Albert here? Please.
Hi, how's it going? My name's Albert Yu, and I had proposed Asian Dragon Boat Festival. I was thinking I've been in touch with the Marin Chinese Cultural Association about hiring their dragon dancers to come perform. And then also my wife's a DJ and she plays the Chinese flute, and she has a good friend that plays the guzheng. It's an ancient Chinese instrument, like a Chinese zither, that I think they could also perform as well. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, I originally thought the Dragon Boat in June just because I thought Chinese New Year's in February, the main concern would be the weather. We wouldn't want it to rain and whatnot. So I thought maybe the Dragon Boat Festival in June. It probably wouldn't make sense to have a bunch of dragon boats out in the water just for environmental reasons. Otherwise, that actually would be kind of cool. But you know, maybe one day we can do it with lasers or something. But it might be a good opportunity to promote Angel Island if that's something that could be of interest. You know, over the summer and with the ferry company. It's possible we could do the event in May during Asian Pacific Heritage Month as well, I was thinking. It's kind of, you know, it's kind of open depending on when the best time for it would be. And yeah, no, I thought you know, there's 7.4% residents in Tiburon are Asian, and it'd just be a great way for you know, everyone to feel welcome. It's probably the largest minority group here in Tiburon.
Any comments or questions? Please.
I just want to
Alice.
send Gung Hei Fat Choi to you coming up.
Thank you. and yes, I would volunteer to kind of coordinate the event and put it on and everything too. So
Thank you. Councilmember Fredericks.
You just answered my question.
Other questions?
No, I think it sounds awesome. Just any history on the Dragon Boat Festival for those not in the know?
Oh boy, you're putting me on the spot.
We can Wikipedia.
Traditionally, people do. I don't know if you've ever seen the rice balls that are wrapped in the tea leaves. So that's generally traditionally what people eat during that, and there usually are dragon boat races as well.
And oranges, isn't that a?
Yeah, probably. Sure. I mean, just you know, fruits are big in just Chinese holidays in general.
And what location are you thinking?
Probably downtown by the fountain there.
Okay, so like on Main Street or
off of Main Street. I mean, we probably don't need to close Main Street or anything like that.
Okay.
Is the total budget that you're proposing 2,000? The historical events have been a little bit more expensive than that. Just wanting to confirm that you've received information about past events.
No, I'm not familiar with past events.
So I think we could share some of that information perhaps offline.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't account for decorations or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if there's been food at past events.
And then could I also propose it being held at Zelensky Park? And maybe if we can't actually have the boats, maybe we could have miniature boats for the kids to participate in racing them. That could be a good idea.
How large of a committee would you be interested in having to assist in the event itself?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm certainly welcome to as large of a committee as is possible.
May I ask you a question about the dragon boat races? Does it have to be on moving water, or could it be on a pond or still body of water?
I think it can be on a still body of water.
Is the railroad marsh available for that, or is it environmentally protected?
I think I think you technically could use the marsh, meaning there's no prohibition about water activity on the marsh. I'm not sure the depth of the marsh would be sufficient if people were paddling, particularly around the edges. I'd have to look into that. But
I have a vague memory of celebrations where boats were not with people in them.
But there were more lanterns on the water, right? In over Memorial Day in Hawaii. Yeah, sure. I mean, I did consider that, but just it is an environmental cost for us to, put a bunch of stuff out on the water, whatever it might be, if that makes sense. I mean, it certainly can be done, and we can even light lanterns and watch them go off into the sky. But
if we all pursue this, we'll figure it all out.
Sure.
Okay. And I don't know if you've considered contacting the Angel Island Foundation as well. They might be supportive of the idea to incorporate awareness of Angel Island.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion.
Other comments, questions?
Does San Francisco, I thought San Francisco does something like dragon boat racing. So is that something that's
they probably do, or on the peninsula in San Mateo, they certainly do.
Would that be too complex to do on this harbor? Because I don't know if it has to be like perfectly flat water or something.
Yeah, that might be a little complex to kind of coordinate.
Anonymous at this, so is there a motion to approve this, or how do you?
I'm not sure we want to do it. I think we need more information, but we're certainly, one of us is excited about it.
Multiple people here are excited about it. Thank you for the proposal. And we might ask to get more information at the next meeting and seek approval.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you need someone to work with on what kind of information our needs.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone represent the
By default. So actually, I encourage Argwan to submit this. She helped immensely last spring with the Persian Nowruz Festival. So she sent the email to the task force, and it doesn't have to mimic exactly last year's festival. I think the idea is to be open to the locations. It could be smaller with different type of artists. I know it's easier to get Zelensky for many reasons. And then also the budget would definitely remain around the same range for the Nowruz Festival. The key and the trickiest part is the date. There are school plays right exactly around the time of the festival. So last year we did a little bit later. So I think that was it. Ruben, did did you have anything else to add for it?
No, I think just, I guess the question was sort of the timing, just because we know that there's, we need to get council approval too. So the question was, would there be enough time if we request it by the next meeting to actually get council approval and move forward? Because I know that usually does require a little bit of time to get vendors and everything else. Or do you know if Argonne wants to like make a request now, like a tentative budget, just so the council can move forward with it, so we're not pushing anything behind?
Okay, so would she need to submit another email with like an exact budget and a date before the next town council meeting, or would it be for this meeting? Right.
I would, my thought was maybe this meeting to get it to council and just maybe like, okay, we support Nauru's with a budget of, let's say, whatever, 5,000 to 7,000 to be done tentatively at Zelensky Park at these dates to be finalized, just so that council can move forward with it instead of having to wait like 2 months, because it's coming up, what I think is it March or April?
So it's technically March 18th, but it could be held in April like last year. Yeah. So I think she was in agreement that the budget would remain between 5 to 8 like last year, and then the key would be the date. So I don't know if we need to do a motion or
Yes. Shall we have a motion?
or throw out a few dates.
Throw out a few dates.
Okay, so just looking at the calendar, Nowruz is the 19th or 18th, 23rd and 24th is the school place. So it could be potentially the 30th, 31st, or I would say the 6th or 7th. Can we just like keep that as an open?
Sounds good. So so it sounds good as a tentative motion to support Nauru's with a budget between 5,000 to 8,000 on those tentative dates in Zelensky Park.
Yes, I think Zelensky Park, to keep it logistically
I would
easier.
second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Can I just ask, what months are you talking about? Are you talking about May and June?
Oh, I'm sorry. March, because it's the first day of spring. That's technically right. So I think it's March 18th, and then just want to avoid conflicts with major school productions.
Yeah, and then, okay. And also, if this is approved, San Francisco Police Department has lion dancers, and we could reach out to them to have them bring lion dancers or dragon dancers. What do they call them? Is it lion dance or dragon?
It's a lion dance, but I think, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really pretty exciting. It's loud, but it's a lot of fun. So let me know and I can work on that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but we're talking about no ropes, right? Okay. Can you call the question again?
Yeah, right now we're talking about Nauru's, and the motion was to tentatively support an event in the budget range of 5,000 to 8,000 on multiple possible dates in March and April, so that the group can begin planning. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nay. Okay. The motion passes. And now we'll move on to the next agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next agenda item is the Diversity Inclusion Task Force Strategic Plan for 2024 to 2025.
Can I ask something with
Please.
respect to events? Were we going to discuss the cultural fair at some point, or?
I think we can if it's put on the agenda.
Well, it could fall under the general rubric of events today, but if we're not prepared, let's put it on the agenda for next time.
Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda for next time. And then, I think we're going to be in a position where we're supporting 4 events per year, so we might have to make some decisions, but I think the next order of business is the strategic plan that we have been discussing over the course of October, November, and December, the 3 parts to it being the success metrics, the initiatives, and the budgeting. And I think in the last 3 meetings, we've approved those separate components. The attachment that you have today is a compilation of those 3 components with the minor revisions that were requested during the meeting. And the goal for today is for this Diversity Inclusion Task Force to recommend adopting the strategic plan for recommendation to the Town Council for approval. Alice?
Let me read the first paragraph of the plan. The strategic plan provides a transparent roadmap for the DITF to make substantiated recommendations to the Town Council. And I'm just reading that just because to address implicit bias and explicit bias, they're difficult to detect. Just to clarify that what we will be asking the Town Council to do is to approve the strategic plan of the DITF on which the DITF will take action. So it is. So if we're approving this strategic plan, it's the roadmap for the DITF, not yet the roadmap for the Town Council, according to the paragraphs introducing the strategic plan. I think there's a lot of confusion about exactly what we're doing.
Can I speak?
Please, Karen.
We discussed this introduction together. Alice, you were at the meeting. You were on the strategic plan committee.
Yes, and I kept saying this, what I just said.
Okay, well, be it as it may, you were at the meetings and you approved this. And I'm not sure I understand what your concern is. So we're talking about, you don't have a concern?
No, I just want to clarify what we're approving. The strategic plan provides a transparent roadmap for the DITF to make substantial recommendations. So if we take this strategic plan, we're either taking it as a recommendation for what the Town Council should do, or it's the strategic roadmap for the DITF itself, and we're asking the Town Council to approve the DITF's roadmap. So I think it's a little confusing, and whoever makes the motion should make it clearly.
And then I would just want to state also that the whole strategic plan was sent to the strategic plan committee members, and we all had a chance to review it and edit it before. So if there was any question, it should have been before, but I'm still not understanding what the concern is. Do you?
I'd like to clarify.
I'll say it again. Either we're sending the strategic plan as a strategic plan for the Town Council to adopt for the Town Council, for the town's action, or we're doing what this plan states. This strategic plan provides a transparent roadmap for the DITF to make recommendations.
So let me jump in. So apologies, everyone. If you didn't know, I was at a doctor's appointment and got caught behind the worst traffic I've ever seen in my life. I was stopped for most of the time. So thank you very much for everybody filling in, running the meeting and moving forward. I heard all of it. Thank you for the presentation. It was fantastic. I was on the Zoom webinar thing. Anyway, so I think we've had a lot of discussion about the strategic plan, and the way that I'm understanding it, Mayor Fredericks, is because we are the task force, we have created this strategic plan. We're voting now to adopt it out, and we've already adopted many portions of it, but we're doing one final adoption tonight. And then it goes to the Town Council, and the Town Council, we're asking to approve it. It's a little funny because the whole council is on this body. So it's a little mixed up because you would think we approve it already, but that's what we're doing. This is just the final. There were some editorial changes, like very minor things, but the plan has already come before this body, I think 2 or 3 times in portions. And we just wanted to make extra clear and sure, dot our I's, cross our T's, that we're actually adopting the whole thing as, you know, with these little typographical or whatever amendments. So that's what we're doing tonight. And then it goes to the council and the council votes on it.
And what is the council approving?
The
That's
plan.
what I'm talking about. What is the count? What are we asking the council to approve? According to the first paragraph of the strategic plan, that council will be approving the adoption of the strategic plan by the DITF.
But what, so.
That's a recommendation by the DITF to the council. This is the strategic plan that we want to adopt.
Okay, but that's what we're approving. I don't understand the difference, but
the difference is,
I think we're saying the same thing. I really do.
The difference is whether we're making the recommendations listed in the strategic plan for the town council to adopt when it makes the adoption. But what they're adopting, or what they're acting on, is the recommendation that we approve the DITF's adoption of the DITF strategic plan. It's not the town's strategic plan yet.
I think we're saying the same thing. I mean, things come up from commissions and bodies like this all the time, and then the town adopts it. So I don't think this is any different than any other thing coming up from a commission or a body. The only difference is that we are the town council sitting on this in full.
True, but then what comes up
after
that is the specific action items that the DITF will recommend to the town to take action on. Then the town will consider adoption of those specific recommendations as an action.
So
that's a different part of the process.
Okay, so on that one part, I would not agree, because this plan specifies different actions that the Diversity Inclusion Task Force is asking the town to take. So I would see that once the council adopts it, which I'm hoping the council does, that we'd be adopting the recommendations of the DITF that are contained in this plan. And, I think you're right, Alice. If there's something that's not contained in the plan, the body would have to go back. We'd have to come back and ask for approval. But this document, as I read it, does have recommendations, and those would be approved by council once it goes to council.
So yes, it would, but let me read the first paragraph of the plan.
But you've read it three
times.
times.
Provides a transparent roadmap for the DITF to make substantiated recommendation to the council for the town of Tiburon to address, right?
Yeah, so that's like the preamble. That's like a preamble. No, I understand. And I understand what Mayor Fredericks is saying as well. But I think that it's the same thing, because just because that preamble says that this body's supposed to make recommendations, that's kind of like the whereas is in a resolution, right? And then you go to the therefore be it resolved, and that's your action. So I think, that the task force is asking the council to approve this at this moment. This was put back on just to make sure that the final plan is voted out and sent to the town council. So a lot of this we've already seen.
I don't think there's anything wrong with clarification.
Yeah, no.
On what we are voting on.
Perfect.
And so I think that's what's before us, is that we just want, or people are asking for clarification.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I hope we're clarifying. Are people kind of clear on what we're voting on? Or?
Yes, sort of.
Oh, no.
It's that paragraph implies that the strategic plan is
not done.
Is that of the town council, but it's actually of the DITF.
Okay, well, I'm gonna move that we recommend that the town council adopt the strategic plan document attached to the agenda under A12.
I second.
Okay, do we need a formal vote, Count Lee, or can we just, do you want to call the roll on this one?
Yes, 1 moment.
Okay, thank you.
Starting with the council, Councilmember Ryan.
I'm going to abstain.
Councilmember Nick Farr is absent. Councilmember Wellner is absent. Vice Mayor and Chair Thier.
Yes.
Mayor Fredericks.
Abstain.
And the at-large member is Karen Carrera.
Yes.
Annette Harris.
Yes.
Ruben Calra.
Yes.
Nushin Latour.
Yes.
Tina Shaw-Pikeday.
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, may I say something?
In 1 minute, let her report the vote and then you can talk.
Passes.
Okay, go ahead, Karen.
The mission statement and purpose that we also included after this, sentence that Alice read is exactly what's written in the, on the town's website under Diversity and Inclusion Task Force. I mean, we lifted this verbatim. So we're not, I just wanted to make that very clear.
Okay, great. So now I think, do you want to go back to public comment? Okay, you can go. All right. So now I think we're going back to public comment, which is for items not on the agenda.
Oh, I have a public comment for something not on the agenda. I just wanted to say that I went to the, I'm a member, I am the DITF appointee to the Tiburon Police's Citizens Advisory Panel. And I went to their second meeting there last night. And we discussed, actually Chief Jean, and I'm also the captain, discussed RIPA, and how they are complying with RIPA. And they explained all the categories in the new RIPA form citation, or citation that they have to fill in, which complies with RIPA, for instance, asking or not asking, but stating what the officer perceived the person's, ethnic background to be, race, etc. So it was very enlightening that they, and good to hear, right? That the police department is complying with, obviously it's something they have to comply with anyway, but that the chief is taking the time to train everyone to comply with the RIPA data. And then we talked about, I talked about the recent article from the Chronicle about how, there is still a lot of, the statistics show that there are a lot of pretextual stops that are still happening in California, especially pertaining to the disparity of, African-American Black drivers who are stopped versus their numbers in the population. The same with Latino drivers, especially high for Latino drivers, and Asian drivers as well. So and the chief, stated her commitment to making sure that that stops are not pretextual, and that there's complete transparency with her officers, and her commitment to eradicating bias in the Tiburon Police Department. And then we segued into training. Like, one of the things that she wants to do is, obviously, as we've in conjunction with the DITF, to provide training, anti-bias training to their officers, implicit and explicit bias training. And she found a training company that she seems to like. And I told her that the DITF would be very happy to look into this training program. They provide not just in-person trainings, but also monthly updates, online monthly updates, and advice about bias and scenarios about bias. And they're constantly updating their information. And I think what's wonderful, or what seems to be good about this training program is that they are the training program that the San Francisco Police Department uses and the LA County Police Department uses. So I am gonna sit in on a presentation, a Zoom presentation that the chief is going to have for some of us in the CAP, on the panel. And that way I'll be able to see what I, ask questions of the folks from the training company and see if I think it's pretty good, and I'd like to invite any other members of the DITF to join maybe that Zoom and see if we like it. So that was what I wanted to report. And I thought, and I also think Chief Gina is doing a really great job along with the captain.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Any more public comment? Do we have anyone online, Lee?
Seeing none online.
Hey.
I have one public comment, which is, I think those have been following diversity, equity, inclusion in the news. There's been a lot of public backlash recently over the last couple of months and weeks. And I just wanted to say, for those who haven't read some of the manifestos out there by Bill Ackman, also other kind of famous corporates like Elon Musk, please do take a read of those. I think that in the wake of our commitment in this town to diversity, equity, and inclusion, I would love to see the strategic plan moving forward to signal our commitment to this effort, despite some of the political woes out there.
Do we have anything else?
I would like to encourage other members of the task force to participate in this as soon as you know the date, because I would like for us to be sure that we can dispel any issues around conflict of interest.
Yeah, that's great. Do we have anyone else that has any?
Yeah, and just one last one for me would be that, I think, it's been coming on like 3 years since we established this task force. So we have to remember this task force was created with the idea of holding our town accountable. That's what was asked of us, to be almost like a independent but working body with the council. And, I know the subcommittees work super hard for the strategic plan, which in itself looks terrific. And I think it's a signal, to our whole community. And a lot of, our constituents come to us asking, hey, we want you to do something more than just have some celebrations. We want you to have some teeth and, build on it. And I think, for the council that will be voting on this, I'm not sure, hopefully next meeting, I think it'd be great to get the support as a signal, because I think there's 100% support of the community members for this, to adopt this in its entirety, because it stands towards, building a more inclusive community overall, with teeth behind it and accountability.
Great, thank you. Do we have anything else from anyone? Okay, anyone else online just before we end the meeting?
No.
Okay, then I want to thank everyone for attending, and the meeting is adjourned.